and then you have to vary the height from 1 to 15 meter and the step of 1 meter and measure the range and the time of flight. Okay, and then you have to plot a graph between height and the range. In order to plot the graph, what I'm going to do, I just show you to download the Excel sheet. So here is the Excel sheet here. Let me open one more time. For some reason it's just taking a little time. I'm just waiting till it opens up. Okay, now here is the Excel sheet now. So first what I'm going to do is okay, minimizing the screen. Okay, now oh no. Okay, so first you have to vary the height, start the height with 1 meter. 1 meter. So you start the height 1 meter and then you have to vary, go to the 15 meter. So I'm just setting up all the heights here, 1, 2, and then drag it till I get the 15 meter. And then, and the speed, what is asking here, let me go back to one more time to the questions. So set the angle at 0 degree, vary the height from 1 to 15 meter, and measure the range and measure the time of flight. Okay, so in this case just set this initial speed to 15 meter per second. You don't have to change anything, and then if you fire, then it just gives you, so you can drag this button here and put them here, then it gives you all the information. The height is 0 meter for this one. At this location the height is 0, the range is 6.77, and the time is 0.45 second. Okay, now go to the height to 2 meter and do the same thing. And now again I'm going to launch the projectile. So in this case, bring it here. What's the time? The time is 0.64 and the range is 9.58 meter, and you have to keep repeating this one. Now let me go to the 15 meter. You can fill all the tables here. Let me go to the 15 meter and launch the projectile. Bring this one right here and then measure this value here, which is 1.75 second, and the range is 26.23. 1.75 second, and what's the range is? The range is 26.23. Once you fill out all the information, what you're going to do now, you have to plot a graph. So just select these two columns. This column is between the height and the range, and then plot a graph. Go to insert and then plot a graph. So you see it automatically plots a graph for you. For now I'm just giving up the numbers here. Let's say 10, 12 or 12. So it will just plot a graph for you. And then what you can do now, you can label the axis. So go to the axis titles, and here what is this is? This is the height, and this is in meter, and this is your range. Okay, once you have this one, you can copy the graph, and then paste here into your, so that's it. So this will be the first answer. Now, as I said, you have to have your own data here. That's the first answer. Now, what is asking the second question, what is the relationship between the height and the range? So for this one, I would say just go back to your the projectile motion chapter, read about this one and answer this question. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Here, what is asking here, you have to plot a graph between height and the measured time of flight. Okay, so let's go back again to the Excel sheet. Now it is asking you to plot a graph between the height and the time of flight. How are you going to do that? For this one, I'm selecting the height and I'm selecting the time of flight, these two. Go to the insert and again plot it. Now again you have to label the axis. In order to label the axis, go to the axis title and label here. So this is again the height in meter, and this is your time of flight in second. Click here, select this one and paste it here. So that's it. And now you have to answer all these questions here. What is the relationship between the height and the time of flight when the object is thrown horizontally? So this graph will tell you a lot of information. So if the height increases, how does the time of flight changes? You have to write down here. Does it increase or it decrease? What happens to the horizontal velocity? So if I throw this object, you can see how does the projectile launches, and take a look at the horizontal velocity. What happens to the horizontal velocity? Does it change or it does not change? And look at the vertical velocity. What happens to the vertical velocity? So vertical velocity, just take a look and answer these questions. Okay, you see, just take a look at the length of this one and take a look at the length of this one. What is happening? All right, you should be able to answer all those questions. The next thing is I'm going to escape this one because you should be able to answer. What is the vertical velocity of the object when it hits the ground when the height is 10 meter? So now just select the height to the 10 meter. Let me erase everything. Height is 10 meter, and then you have to calculate the vertical velocity. So I'm going to select everything here. Then you have to find out what is the velocity at this point. So you can use the equation to calculate this velocity. Just try your best to answer these questions. Okay. So you have to calculate here, and it's not that difficult because I see like this problem is most closely related with the homework problems. So you should not have any difficulty in answering these questions. Now the second part, you have to again plot a graph. In this case, you have to set the height to the 0 meter and the initial speed to the 15 meter per second. So what I'm doing here, I'm setting the height to the 0 meter and the initial speed is already 15 meter. And you have to plot a graph between angle and the range. Okay. So in order to plot the graph between the angle and the range, open this one, and I'm deleting for this one now because we already have plotted this graph. So the angle, you have to start from the 25 degree and then go to till 90 degree. So here the height is 0 degree, and let me launch the projectile. So come here and take this tool to measure everything here. Okay, so it gives you the time 1.29 and the range 17.57. So the range, we just did the range, so 17.57. Now let me go to the 60, the angle 60. Okay, and then launch it again. Come here and then measure it. What's the range? 19.86. 19.86. And now let me go to 80 or 90, let's say 80. Bring it here and then measure this value. What is the range? 7.84. 7.84. And then finally let me do one more, 90 degree, and launch it. If you launch it vertically, it comes back here, so the range in this case is 0. So the range is the 0. So now you have to plot a graph between the angle and the range. Select these two columns and plot a graph. Go to insert and plot a graph. I would like to plot this graph. Go to insert, so this is the graph here. It did not plot other values because it's an empty here. If you put any number, it will just pop up. So this is how your graph should look like. Just select this one, and again you have to label the axis. Select this one, Control C, and then paste it here. And now you have to answer. Just look at the graph, at what angle you get the maximum range, and what is the maximum height, at what angle you get the maximum height. Okay, so you have to answer all those questions. If you have any questions, let me know. This video, I think, will be sufficient for you to answer all those questions. You can work in a group, and again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.